English Daily, the podcast.
Your English journey starts now. Hey, English learners. Welcome back to your podcast, the English Daily Podcast.
Yes, we're so happy to have you here today.
Today's episode is all about deepfake defense and AI security.
That's right. And we're going to make it really practical for you, especially with this new concept called AI-trism.
So whether you're a beginner or already speaking well, you'll find something useful here.
Let's dive right in. Anna, let's start with the basics. What exactly is a deepfake? I've heard this term so many times, but I'm still not entirely sure I understand it completely.
Great question, Jack. A deepfake is essentially a type of artificial intelligence that can create or manipulate video, audio, or images to show people saying or doing things they never actually said or did. The word comes from deep learning, that's the type of AI technology behind it, and fake, which means something that isn't real. So basically, deepfake equals deep learning plus fake content. Pretty clever naming, right?
Oh, I see. So it's like using AI to put words in someone's mouth, literally. That's kind of scary when you think about it.
Exactly. And it's becoming more and more sophisticated every day. In fact, I remember reading that in 2026, deepfake technology has gotten so good that it's becoming extremely difficult for the average person to tell the difference between what's real and what's AI generated. That's exactly why we need to talk about this today.
So how did deepfakes even become such a big deal? I mean, when did this start becoming a mainstream concern?
Well, the technology first gained public attention back in 2017 or so, when someone posted fake celebrity videos online. But honestly, Jack, it really exploded during the 2024-2025 period, when the technology became more accessible. Suddenly, anyone with a decent computer and some technical knowledge could create these videos. That's when governments and companies really started paying attention.
Wow, so it went from something only experts could do to something almost anyone can do now. That's a huge change in such a short time.
Yes, exactly. And that's what makes AI security so critical now. The democratization of this technology means the risks have multiplied exponentially. It's not just about experts creating fake content anymore. It's about regular people being able to do it, which opens the door to all kinds of misuse.
You know what really blows my mind? I've seen some examples where they use deepfake technology to make it look like politicians were saying things they never said. That could literally influence elections.
Absolutely, Jack. And that's one of the most dangerous aspects. Imagine watching a video of a presidential candidate saying something outrageous, and by the time you find out it's fake, millions of people have already seen it and formed an opinion. The damage is already done. That's why understanding this technology and knowing how to protect yourself is so important.
This is making me think about my own consumption of online content. I guess I need to be way more careful about what I believe when I see videos online.
That's exactly the right mindset, Jack. Being skeptical and knowing how to verify information, that's what we're going to be talking about throughout this episode. It's all part of building what experts call digital trust.
Digital trust. I like that term. Can you tell me more about what that means?
Of course. Digital trust is basically your confidence that the information, people, and systems you interact with online are genuine and reliable. It's about believing that what you're seeing is real and that the people you're communicating with are who they say they are. In our increasingly digital world, this has become super important.
So it's like having trust issues, but in a good way. Being cautious rather than blindly trusting everything you see online.
That's a great way to put it, Jack. Guilty as charged, right? We should all have a little bit of healthy skepticism when it comes to online content.
Anna, can you give me some real examples of how deepfakes have been used in harmful ways? I want to understand the scope of the problem better.
Sure, Jack. There have been several high-profile cases that have made headlines. For instance, there have been deepfake videos of corporate executives announcing fake mergers or financial results which actually affected stock prices. Imagine watching a video of a CEO saying their company is bankruptcy. That's incredibly damaging.
Oh, wow. So it can actually impact the financial markets. That's huge.
Absolutely. And there's more. In 2025, there was a major incident where a deepfake voice call convinced an employee to transfer $25 million to scammers. Just a voice call. The employee thought they were receiving instructions from their boss, but it was actually AI generated. Can you imagine working so hard and then just giving away that much money because of a fake voice?
$25 million. That's insane. I guess I never thought about voice deepfakes being that realistic.
Right? And it's not just about money. There have been deepfake revenge porn cases where people's faces are superimposed onto explicit content without their consent. This has destroyed careers and relationships. It's incredibly invasive and harmful.
That's really disturbing. What about in politics? I remember hearing something about deepfakes being used in conflicts.
Yes, Jack. In fact, during various geopolitical situations, deepfakes have been used to spread disinformation. For example, there were fake videos supposedly showing military leaders making statements they never made. During wartime, this kind of disinformation can be incredibly dangerous and can escalate tensions between countries.
This is making me realize how vulnerable we all are. I mean, if professionals can be tricked with voice calls, what chance do regular people have?
That's exactly why education is so important, Jack. The good news is that there are tools and techniques we can learn to protect ourselves. That's what AI Trism is all about. It's a framework for managing these risks. But more on that later. For now, I just want you to understand the real-world impact.
Have there been any positive uses of deepfake technology? I mean, is it all bad?
That's a really good question, Jack. There are some legitimate uses. For example, in filmmaking, deepfake technology has been used to de-age actors or to recreate deceased actors for films. It's also used in education for creating realistic training videos, and there are accessibility applications too, like translating content into different languages with the original speaker's voice.
Oh, that's actually really cool. So it's not inherently evil, it just depends on how people use it.
Exactly. Technology is neutral. It's how we use it that matters. The key is learning to distinguish between legitimate uses and harmful ones, and knowing how to protect ourselves from the bad actors.
So, in a way, we need to become detectives of our own media consumption. Is that fair to say?
That's a perfect way to describe it, Jack, and that's exactly what we're going to help you with today.
Anna, you've mentioned AI Trism a few times now. Can you explain what that actually means? It sounds like some kind of technical framework.
Absolutely, Jack. AI Trism stands for trust, risk, and security management. It's actually a concept that's become really important in the tech industry, especially as AI has become more prevalent. Think of it as a comprehensive approach to making sure AI systems can be trusted, that the risks are properly managed, and that security measures are in place.
So, it's like a set of guidelines or best practices that companies use?
Yes, exactly. It's more than just guidelines. It's actually a framework that organizations use to ensure their AI systems are reliable and secure. The trust part is about making sure AI decisions can be explained and verified. The risk part is about identifying and mitigating potential harms. And the security part is about protecting the AI systems themselves from being tampered with.
I see. So it's three main areas: trust, risk, and security. Why has this become so important specifically now in 2026?
Great question. In 2026, AI is everywhere. It's in our phones, our cars, our workplaces, our hospitals. We're relying on AI for increasingly important decisions, so we need to make sure these systems can be trusted. Plus, as we've been discussing, the threats from malicious use of AI, like deepfakes, have become much more serious. AI Trism provides a structured way for organizations to address these challenges.
How would a typical company implement AI Trism? Is there a specific process they follow?
Well, it varies by organization, but typically it involves several key components. First, there's model governance. That's about making sure AI models are developed responsibly and monitored properly. Then there's risk management, identifying what could go wrong and planning how to handle those situations. There's also security measures, like protecting against attacks on AI systems. And finally, there's building trust through transparency, being open about how AI makes decisions.
Wow, that's really comprehensive. It sounds like it covers a lot of ground.
It does. And here's why it matters for you as an English learner and as someone navigating the digital world. Understanding these concepts helps you talk about AI security in English, which is becoming increasingly important in the workplace and in everyday life. Plus, knowing about TRISM helps you understand what companies should be doing to protect you.
Honestly, I never thought about companies having this kind of responsibility. I guess I just assumed if something went wrong with AI, it was the user's fault.
That's a common assumption, Jack. But the reality is that organizations have a responsibility to ensure their AI systems are safe and trustworthy. That's exactly what AI TRISM is about. It's a way for them to be accountable.
Is there any regulation around this? Like, does the government require companies to follow these practices?
Yes and no, Jack. Different countries have different approaches. The European Union has been leading with their AI Act, which sets strict requirements for high-risk AI systems. In the United States, it's more of a sector-based approach, with different regulations for different industries. And in many other countries, regulations are still being developed, so it's an evolving area.
So it's different depending on where you are. That must be complicated for companies that operate globally.
Absolutely. That's one of the biggest challenges with AI regulation right now. There's no global standard. Companies have to navigate different rules in different places. That's why many are adopting AI TRISM frameworks voluntarily, because it helps them be prepared wherever they're operating.
This is all really fascinating. I feel like I'm learning about a whole new side of AI that I never thought about before.
That's wonderful, Jack. And that's our goal today, to help you understand these concepts so you can discuss them confidently in English, whether in the workplace or just in everyday conversations.
Anna, now that we understand the problem and the framework, let's get practical. How can regular people actually tell if something is a deep fake? What should we look for?
Great question, Jack. There are several things to look for. First, pay attention to the eyes. Deepfakes often struggle with realistic eye movement and reflections. Look for unnatural blinking patterns or inconsistencies in how light reflects in the eyes. Second, check for blurring around the face, especially at the edges. Third, look at the synchronization between audio and video. Does the mouth movement match the words?
Those are really specific tips. What about technology? Are there tools that can help us detect deep fakes?
Yes, there are. Many companies and researchers have developed detection tools. For example, there are browser extensions that analyze videos and flag potential deepfakes. There are also websites where you can upload images or videos to check their authenticity. Some social media platforms are also starting to label AI-generated content.
So, are these tools reliable? Can we trust them completely?
That's a really important question, Jack. The honest answer is that they're helpful but not perfect. The technology is improving all the time, but so are deepfake creation methods. It's kind of like an arms race. So the best approach is to use these tools as one part of your verification process, along with your own critical thinking.
So, we shouldn't rely solely on technology. We need to be detectives ourselves.
Exactly. Think of it as a multi-layered approach. Use technology when available, but also learn to verify information through other means. Check multiple sources, look for the original source of information, see if reputable news outlets are reporting the same thing, and when in doubt, don't share content that could be harmful or misinformation.
I see. What about reverse image search? I've heard of that, but never really used it.
Oh, reverse image search is super useful, Jack. Basically, you can upload an image or video screenshot to search engines, and they show you where else that image appears online. If it shows up in completely unrelated contexts, that's a red flag. For example, if you see a video claiming to show something that happened today, but the image search shows it was posted years ago in a different context, you know something is off.
That's actually really helpful. I need to start using that more.
You definitely should, Jack. And another tip, pay attention to the context in which you're seeing content. If something seems too dramatic or too good to be true, it probably is. Misinformation often relies on emotional manipulation to get people to share without thinking.
That makes sense. I guess I've definitely shared things in the past without really thinking about whether they were true.
We've all done that, Jack. The important thing is to learn from it and be more mindful going forward. That's what building digital trust is all about. Not just trusting others, but also being trustworthy ourselves by verifying before we share.
This is actually changing how I think about my social media use. I want to be more responsible now.
That's a great attitude, Jack. And remember, it's a learning process. Nobody becomes perfect overnight. But every step you take to verify information makes you a better digital citizen.
Anna, we've talked about identifying deepfakes, but what about protecting ourselves more broadly? What are some habits we should develop for better digital security?
Excellent question, Jack. There are several key habits that can really help. First, enable two-factor authentication wherever possible. That's when you need not just your password, but also a second form of verification, like a code sent to your phone. Second, use unique, strong passwords for each account. I know it's tempting to use the same password everywhere, but that's really risky.
Guilty as charged on that one. I use maybe 3 or 4 passwords for everything. It's so hard to remember all of them.
I hear you, Jack. That's why password managers are so helpful. They generate and store unique passwords for all your accounts, so you only need to remember one master password. It's a game changer.
Oh, I've been thinking about getting one of those. Which one do you recommend?
There are several reputable ones like LastPass, 1Password, or Bitwarden. They all have free versions you can try. The important thing is just to get started. But let's also talk about being careful with what you share online. Once something is out there, it's really hard to take back.
What do you mean by that? Like, don't post personal information?
Yes, exactly. Be thoughtful about what personal information you share online. Things like your full birth date, address, phone number, or even details about your daily routine can be used against you. Also, be careful about photos you share. Remember that they could be used to create deepfakes or for other malicious purposes.
That's kind of creepy when you think about it. You mean someone could use my photos to make a deep fake of me?
It's possible, Jack. While it's less common for regular people, it's not impossible. That's why being cautious about your digital footprint is important. It's not about being paranoid, just about being mindful.
I guess I've never really thought about that side of things. I just assumed deep fakes were mostly for celebrities or politicians.
That's a common misconception. While high-profile targets are more common, anyone can potentially be targeted. The good news is that by developing good security habits, you make yourself a harder target. Most criminals go for the easy prey.
What about updates? I always ignore those update notifications on my phone and computer. Is that bad?
Yes, Jack. Software updates often include security patches. They fix vulnerabilities that hackers could exploit. So keeping your devices updated is actually really important. I know it's annoying to wait for updates, but it's much better than dealing with a security breach.
Okay, I'm definitely going to be better about that. I guess I've just been lazy.
We all have room for improvement, Jack. The key is to start with small changes and build from there. You don't have to become perfect overnight. Every little bit helps.
Anna, we've covered a lot of ground today, but I'm curious, what does the future hold for AI security? What should we expect in the coming years?
That's a great question, Jack. The field is evolving so rapidly. I think we'll see several key trends. First, detection technology will improve dramatically. As deepfakes get better, so will our tools for detecting them. It's an ongoing arms race, but I believe we'll eventually have very sophisticated detection capabilities.
That sounds reassuring. What else?
Well, I think we'll also see more regulation. Governments around the world are working on laws to address AI-generated content. There will likely be requirements for labeling AI-generated content, and there may be legal consequences for creating harmful deepfakes.
Do you think these regulations will actually work? I mean, with how fast technology changes, it seems hard to keep up.
It's challenging, Jack. Regulations often lag behind technology, but they're still important because they set standards and create accountability. Even if they can't catch every instance of misuse, they send a clear message that this behavior is unacceptable.
What about on the personal level? How will our daily lives change?
I think we'll become more skeptical as a society. People will develop better habits for verifying information. There might be new tools integrated into our devices and platforms to help us authenticate content. For example, your phone might automatically verify whether a video is authentic before you watch it.
That would be amazing, like having a built-in fact checker.
Exactly. And I think we'll also see more emphasis on digital literacy education. Schools are already starting to teach these skills, and I think that'll become even more widespread. Understanding how to navigate the digital world safely will be as fundamental as learning to read and write.
That's actually really hopeful. So, despite all the challenges, you think things will get better?
I do, Jack. Technology brings challenges, but it also brings solutions. The key is staying informed, being proactive, and working together as a society to address these issues. And that's exactly what we're doing today by having this conversation.
I love that attitude. So, for all our listeners, what are the key takeaways from today's episode?
First, understand what deep fakes are and how they can be used. Second, learn to verify information using multiple methods. Third, practice good digital security habits. Fourth, stay informed about AI TRISM and other frameworks for managing AI risks. And finally, be a responsible digital citizen. Verify before you share.
That's a great summary, Anna. I feel like I've learned so much today. Anna, now let's dive into some vocabulary. What are the key phrases our listeners should know from today's episode?
Great idea, Jack. Let's go through them one by one. First up, deep fake. A deep fake is AI-generated content that shows someone doing or saying something they never actually did or said. Example, the video was revealed to be a deep fake created to spread misinformation.
Can you give us another example?
Sure. Experts warned about the dangers of deep fakes in political campaigns. Good. Next phrase, digital trust. This refers to confidence in the authenticity of online information and the reliability of digital systems. Example, building digital trust is essential in the age of misinformation.
How about in a workplace context?
The company implemented new protocols to establish digital trust with their customers. Perfect. Next, AI TRISM. This stands for Trust, Risk, and Security Management, a framework for ensuring AI systems are reliable and secure. Example, many organizations are adopting AI TRISM principles to manage AI risks.
That sounds a bit technical. Can you simplify it?
Think of it as a checklist. Trust that AI works, manage the risks, and keep it secure. That's basically what AI TRISM is. Next, verify. This means to check if something is true or authentic. Example, always verify information before sharing it online.
What about when talking about sources?
I need to verify this source before I can trust it. Good. Next, authentication. This is the process of confirming that someone or something is who or what they claim to be. Example, Two-factor authentication adds an extra layer of security.
So it's like proving you're really you.
Exactly, Jack. Strong authentication prevents unauthorized access. Next, misinformation. This is false or inaccurate information that is spread, often unintentionally. Example, the deepfake was used to spread misinformation about the election.
How is that different from disinformation?
Great question. Disinformation is deliberately false information meant to deceive, while misinformation can be spread without malicious intent. The news article corrected the misinformation after it was debunked. Next, cybersecurity. This refers to protecting computers, networks, and data from digital attacks. Example, good cybersecurity practices include using strong passwords.
What about when we talk about protecting AI systems?
Companies invest heavily in cybersecurity to protect their AI models. Next, watermark. This is a visible or invisible mark that identifies content as authentic or AI-generated. Example, many platforms now require watermarks on AI-generated content.
That's a practical solution. Can you give another example?
Sure, the video had a subtle watermark indicating it was a deepfake for entertainment purposes. Next, fact check. This means to verify the accuracy of information by checking reliable sources. Example, it's always wise to fact check before sharing shocking news.
What about when we're skeptical?
I decided to fact check the viral post before believing it. Next, algorithm. This is a set of rules or instructions that a computer follows to solve problems. Example, social media algorithms can amplify certain types of content.
How does that relate to deepfakes?
The algorithm recommended the deepfake video to millions of users. Next, synthetic media. This is media that has been artificially generated or manipulated, including deepfakes. Example, synthetic media is becoming increasingly sophisticated.
Is synthetic media always bad?
Not necessarily. The film used synthetic media to bring the historic character back to life. Next, privacy. This is the right to keep personal information secure and not be watched or tracked. Example, protecting your privacy online is crucial in the digital age.
What about when we share things online?
Be careful about what you share to protect your privacy. Next, vulnerability. This is a weakness that can be exploited by attackers. Example, the software update fixed a critical vulnerability.
That sounds serious.
It can be. Hackers often target vulnerabilities in outdated software. Next, encryption. This is the process of converting information into a code to prevent unauthorized access. Example, always use encryption when sending sensitive information.
What about for messaging apps?
End-to-end encryption ensures only you and the recipient can read your messages. Next, phishing. This is a type of cyber attack where attackers try to trick you into revealing sensitive information. Example, never click on suspicious links to avoid phishing scams.
Can deep fakes be used in phishing?
Yes, that's a growing concern. Voice phishing, or vishing, can now use deepfake voices to sound more convincing. Next, deceptively. This means in a way that is meant to trick or mislead. Example, the deepfake video was deceptively realistic.
That's a useful adverb.
He deceptively altered the footage to support his argument. And finally, biometric. This refers to using physical characteristics like fingerprints or facial recognition for identification. Example, many phones now use biometric authentication.
Is that secure?
It's generally very secure, but not foolproof. Biometric data can be stolen and used to create deepfakes. We've covered so many important terms today.
I feel like I have a whole new vocabulary now.
Now, Jack, let's think about some reflection questions for our listeners.
Great idea. What should they consider?
First question. Have you ever encountered content online that you later discovered was fake or misleading? What did you learn from that experience? Take a moment to think about it. Maybe it was a viral video that turned out to be staged, or a news story that was later retracted. Reflecting on these moments helps us become more aware of our own vulnerabilities to misinformation.
That's a really personal question.
It's meant to be, Jack. Second question, how do you currently verify information before sharing it with others? Do you check multiple sources, use fact-checking websites, or simply trust your instincts? Understanding your current habits is the first step to improving them.
I think I need to be more intentional about this.
We all do. Third question, what digital security habits do you currently practice, and which ones do you want to improve? Perhaps you want to start using a password manager or enable two-factor authentication on your important accounts. Pick one habit to focus on this week.
Fourth question?
Yes, fourth question. How comfortable are you discussing AI security topics in English? What vocabulary or phrases do you find most challenging? Identifying your challenges helps you focus your learning.
I have to admit, I was a bit intimidated by some of the technical terms before today.
That's completely normal, Jack. Fifth question. What aspects of AI trism do you think are most relevant to your personal or professional life? Think about whether you're dealing with AI systems at work or if you're just a consumer of technology. The relevance will help you prioritize what to learn more about.
Sixth question?
Absolutely. Sixth question. How do you think the increased use of deepfake technology will affect society in the next 5 years? Consider both the negative possibilities and the positive developments. Thinking about the future helps us prepare and stay ahead of the curve.
That's something I really need to think about more.
Happy to hear it. Seventh question. What steps can you take this week to improve your digital security? Maybe it's updating your passwords, enabling two-factor authentication, or learning to use reverse image search. Small actions add up.
Eighth question?
Yes, eighth question. How can you help others become more digitally literate? Perhaps you can share this episode with a friend or family member, or start a conversation about digital trust. Spreading awareness helps create a more informed community.
That's a great way to make a difference.
And finally, ninth question. What is one new thing you learned today that you want to remember and apply? Take a moment to identify your key takeaway. Maybe it's a new vocabulary word, a verification technique, or simply a new perspective on AI security. Writing it down can help reinforce your learning.
Those are really thoughtful questions, Anna.
Thank you, Jack. I hope our listeners find them helpful for their learning journey.
Anna, we've covered so much today. What are the main takeaways?
Jack, I think the key points are understand deepfakes and how they work, learn to verify information using multiple methods, practice good digital security habits, and stay informed about AI trism and related frameworks. Most importantly, be a responsible digital citizen.
And I hope you all feel more confident now when you encounter these terms in English language media. Knowledge is power.
Absolutely. Keep practicing, keep learning, and don't forget to verify before you share.
Thanks for joining us today, everyone. See you next time.
Bye for now. Take care, English learners. Your learning journey doesn't stop here. Keep improving your English. Click the next video or explore more episodes we've picked just for you. See you in the next lesson.